Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori, and today we have 3 golfers here that started around the same time. So let's say like 5-6 years ago, ladies, you all started?
Nope, we actually just looked.
Oh, really?
Go back
okay, so let's go one by one. Al, we got Al here. Al, it's been too long.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the pod.
Everyone's just waiting for me to come back.
Exactly. She's back. So when did you start?
I think it was 2015, 16. So is that like 8 years?
8 years
8
ago.
years, yep.
Okay, and you played tennis beforehand.
Yep.
Christie, when did you start? And we're using just kind of 18 holes with you. Because I know that you started kind of 9 holes.
Right, I kind of eased into it.
You definitely eased into
really
18 holes.
I would say it's probably been a good 6 years with 18.
Yeah.
I think 16 or 6 years is safe.
Okay.
5 to 6-ish.
And Suzanne?
Mine's like 5 years.
5 years. And you skipped over 9 holes.
I just jumped right in.
I like it. I like it. So yesterday was guest day. We were all there with our guests. Christie and Suzanne had their mom there. How was that? That's so special. You had your mom as your guest. Tell me about it.
It was amazing. I mean, I cherish the opportunities I get to play with her because she's slowing down a little bit. She's going to be 80 in January, but I mean, she's so fun, knows so much about the game, and quite honestly, it just makes my heart burst with joy when I get a chance to play with her like that. So,
and you do it a lot.
Well,
I mean, at least, I mean, I know Sandy from you having her as a guest, really. So that's a significant amount of times. And so you guys really enjoy playing together. And I know you have a competitive side to you. I mean, you also came from tennis and you're an amazing athlete.
And she's a collegiate athlete. She was a volleyball player at ASU.
In the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that you're talking her up because you know she wasn't going to say that.
No.
Just like you don't talk about, you just hit the ball around the tennis court occasionally.
Or when people say, I think I can beat you. And they're like 4-0s.
Oh yeah. No, I love it.
You're like, really?
I want to watch.
not happening.
So you still enjoy it as much because you have Sandy as at the Invitational. You'll have her at a guest day.
Yes, we love it. And yesterday was extra special because I knew Suzanne was going to have her mom. And I said, we should play together. I think our moms will love it. And oh my gosh, her mom was nails. I mean, she eked out.
She was very serious. Every time
God.
I kept saying, oh, hey, how's it going? She's like focused.
Yeah, so Suzanne.
No chit-chatting.
It was amazing.
Your mom, Kay, joined
my mom
you
is
yesterday.
Kay. She's 82.
Oh my God, amazing. And I feel like that was the first time I saw you play with your mom at an event, but maybe not. Maybe a pink ribbon you had.
She has played at the Spring Fling, the 3-day, but she says 3 days is too hard for her now.
Yeah.
But she does take it very seriously. She was historically like a 5 handicapper and was club champion and everything. So every event is a big deal. And I have to remind her it's not the Olympics, that we're out here to have fun.
No, I love that.
No,
I know
really
I want to play with her.
Totally.
You know? So did your mom influence you to get started too?
She wishes she had. So even yesterday, she said, why didn't you start playing in high school like I told you to? You would have had so much more fun if you'd done it earlier. Mm-hmm. But I was too busy and I wasn't interested. I swam in high school. Then I went to college. You know, it was raising kids, working. It was just not, at the top of my list.
When you are young, golf is intimidating because it's expensive. Mm-hmm. And when you're young, you don't have endless cash reserves, I think, when you're first starting out married. And it's also a time sucker.
Yeah, it really is. So, Suzanne, I remember you most as being, it makes sense that you're only 5 years in, because I remember you as you just came into the WGA. Can you think of any time in particular when you just had joined the WGA that made an impact on you, or do you have a story from the beginning about, because a lot of women are hesitant to join the WGA, or maybe they do want to do 9 holes first because they think that they're not prepared or good enough to play 18 holes. Do you have any feedback on that?
Yeah, I would say everyone was super welcoming and really kind to me because I made it clear that I was new and I didn't know the rules very well. And I would say it was a very welcoming community.
Yeah. And you're already involved, like you're already on the board. How quick did you like get into it and start helping out with things?
I would stay like a year or two in. I helped with the first event, the holiday event. And then like the year after that, I was asked to help with rules, which was kind of intimidating because I'm a newer player, but really good for me because it made me really understand the rules better. And if someone asked me a question, I really had to look it up and get it right.
Mm-hmm. And she did. I was on the board when I was communication, so I would be sending it out. What she did that was, I think, something to think about for somebody is she aligned herself with other people that had been playing a long time and asked them for advice, ask their opinion. It's always good to not try to be the Lone Ranger. Yeah. Try to, ask people, and even the intimidating people a little bit.
Well, and I said this on the last episode, I think us as women, like we want to help. We want someone to ask for our help and us be able to help them. I think it makes us feel good. Like if I'm able to help someone that's newer, like get more comfortable in the atmosphere and answer a rules question and know that now they know it. Now they just, I think it makes you feel good when you're able to do that. Christie, coming from 9 holes to 18 holes, how was that transition? Why did you not, because again, we were laughing about it earlier, that the transition was maybe a little bit longer for you to make that switch. So what was going on there?
For me, it wasn't about not joining the WGA. It was about the time in my life. My kids were my number one, on my list of things that I needed to do. And I just felt like I couldn't commit the time. So when I made the switch, I felt like I was ready. I was occasionally.
I kept bugging her too.
Yeah, I know. Alex was bugging me. And, I'd play like 13 holes. I'm like, geez, I think I can go a few more. Like one of those silly things. But honestly, it was just, I was selfish because I didn't want to not be there for my kids. And my son was playing high school golf, and I was one of the moms that helped coordinate everything. And so those things were just more important. And finally, when he got to be a senior, or I think a freshman in college, I'm like, okay, I got nobody at home anymore. I better get my, self in gear. But I really wasn't that intimidated. I know as a 9-holer, a lot of the girls that I played with were like, oh, we used to call them the big girls that are the WGA. And they were, a little hesitant. And I got into it and I thought, they're not intimidating at all. I think you just need to jump in and, as long as you're not slowing everybody down and, you're friendly and you're asking questions. I mean, that is a huge thing I think that's important, is asking a question. And if you're not sure about a rule, because they will tell you and they want to help. And I feel like once you're in there, they're welcoming, like you said, Suzanne.
It is I started in the 9-holers too, but I knew that I had someone to talk to, which was my sister. But it is funny, the whole premise of the group of 9 holes sometimes is to scare everybody so that they will not go up into, and so they won't graduate into an 18-holer. So, I mean, didn't you belong to both 18 and 9, in that transition year? It's almost like you get guilted a little bit, like, I'm just going to check it out. I'm going to come back. And then,
I'm just going to see what's going on over there. Don't worry, I'll be back.
I have to say, the 9-holers were so fun. I mean, I did try to do both. And then I was like, my goal is to be a better golfer. And had I started in the 18s like Suzanne, I think I would have progressed a lot quicker. I mean, I was playing once a week.
Yeah.
So in the 18s, I was like, I need to play more than once a week if I'm going to get any better. And
totally.
So I just had Peggy and Margaret on the show, and we talked about 9-hole, 18-hole. And I said, what do you think, if I were to ask you, what's the difference between the 9-holers and the 18-holers, other than the fact that we play 9 more holes than they do? What's the main difference? And they go, there's a lot more ponytails. And I go, that is really true. There's just a lot more.
Throw balls out of the sand trap.
Yeah. But they're just, the ponytails are bouncing a little bit more in the 9 holes. So I just thought that was so funny.
Okay, I have a really funny thing to tell you. So when we were in the 9-holers, I started out with 3 other girls, Lori, Julie, and Megan. And we were like, we only play once a week. So we would say, we want to play together.
Yeah.
And it was a comfort zone. We all were learning together. Mm-hmm. And apparently that did not go over well. The rest of the girls were like, why are they always playing together? Those are the Barbies. That's what they called us. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they think we're nice, but we're just doing it because we're nervous, we're anxious, we don't want to make anybody mad when we're playing. And so over time, we've kind of laughed about it. But yeah, it wasn't.
No, I was in the 9-holers when you guys were as thick as thieves. There was no penetrating that group. It was solidified.
It was strength in numbers. We felt like we had each other's backs. And so that from that standpoint. But then in the 18, I'm like, okay, this is when you have to play with anybody. And you just got to let it go. And I knew that going into the 18s. And I thought it was great. I got to meet so many new people, and it was a blast. So glad I did it.
So today's topic is we're going to go through and say 2 things that we wish we knew, or that, we would tell our beginner self that might help us progress a little faster if we knew that when we started. And again, we're kind of basing this off of when we all started playing 18 holes. So who wants to go first?
Oh, I'll go first.
Okay. Al, what was your first thing? And I said, I want to preface this by saying I told all 3 of them, stay away from short game. I think we can all kind of say as a group that we now realize short game is where it's at. And we wish we focused on that a little bit more as beginners, because we know how important it is now. When we're beginners, we're just like hitting driver and going straight to that. But yes, that is covered. I think we can all agree on that. So I said, pick out 2 things that are a little different than that. So Al, kick us off.
I would say taking lessons regularly. I think it's super important. I think that at the beginning, I was almost intimidated to take lessons more frequently because I felt bad. I felt like I was so bad. You often told me to take lessons, but there was a time where I stopped taking regular lessons, and I tried to look at every YouTube video and tip, and really they're good. They serve a purpose, but every tip doesn't apply to every player. And so many times you waste so much time trying to self-correct, and then you go to a lesson, and I'll just use Kyle as an example.
It's Kyle is her current instructor, and anytime Al hits a good shot on the course, Kyle's name is brought up, what Kyle taught.
Said. So I was playing so poorly it was like maybe around member, and he goes, your alignment's off. Your feet are going one direction, your shoulders are going another direction, and you're trying and you're trying to hit an opposite direction. Yeah. And so he said, you just need to square everything up. And all of a sudden, all those things I was trying to self-correct. Yeah. It was like, oh, okay, I was just crooked.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting thing. So it's like you waste a lot of time and energy trying to self-correct. I know it's expensive, but man, just even 30 minutes. Yeah. I told Kyle after yesterday, because I'm going awry again. Yeah. I said, I just need 30 minutes. Yeah. 30 minutes.
And that's okay too. You don't have to do an hour every time, because I don't know about you, but I'm after, does anyone have that experience where you finally schedule the lesson, you get it, then you hit the ball, and they're all of a sudden going straight and perfect. And you're like, oh, well, this is not what I was doing on the golf course the other day. And totally. And also with lessons, where I feel guilty is that I'll get a lesson, he'll tell me what to work on, and perhaps I don't work on it as much as we hoped. And so I go back and get another lesson, and I'm embarrassed that I'm still struggling. I feel bad that I didn't go do my homework, Right. So that's almost prevents me from consistently getting lessons too.
100%.
And when you're trying to find somebody to take a lesson, because I have taken lessons from a lot of people, and this is from my tennis days, my mom would constantly be switching coaches, constantly trying to find that one thing with tennis. Yeah. And it's okay. Probably it's not going to go over well. It's good to be loyal to a certain person. However, sometimes your game starts to evolve and you max out at that one person, and you should be okay with saying, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate you. You've taken me here, but I need to go find other tips.
Exactly.
And it's okay to do that. Don't just stay with the same person all the time.
Yeah. And I could add on to that and say some instructors just won't be for you. So if you get a lesson and it just didn't mesh, move on. because you have to be able to hear them. So, Suzanne, what's your experience been like with lessons?
I have seen the same person for a long time, and it's been super helpful. I try not to take a ton of lessons like in season. I try to take the lessons kind of in the shoulder season right before we open. And then because a lot of times, especially at my level, when you're trying to change something, it gets to a point where you are not hitting the ball very well.
Yeah.
Because I'm fixing big things like swing path and things like that. And so I don't want to do that in season that much.
That's interesting because I actually only want to do it in season.
Really?
Yeah. And do you find that it messes with you when you're on the course?
I feel like it helps me get refocused because my focus is what I feel like starts to go awry. It's just being focused for 4.5 hours is really tough. So at least then that allows me to like free myself up and just, instead of start down a rabbit hole of just stupid stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get refocused.
Exactly. So what was number 2?
Number 2, well, I have 3 things.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. It's about Alex today. I love it. Come on, Al.
This is kind of what I'm struggling with now is your trajectory at the beginning is always you're getting better. You're getting better. You're seeing your handicap get better and go down and go down and go down. And being an athlete, I always saw that I was getting better.
Like the time you put in was reflected with your performance.
As you get older, stuff happens. And I don't want to say it's impossible, but your trajectory is not what it was when you were younger. So I'm just relating it to my experience with tennis. But even just now, like if when I got up to 6, down to a 6 handicap, now I have a new soft cap. By the way,
you have a soft cap too?
And I didn't have Marcy's number to text her. I was going to text this morning.
No, you need to text her.
Anyways, got off on a tangent, but I have a soft cap this morning because I am now heading up into 11, 12 land. And for me, like about 6 months ago when I saw it I'm not striking the ball like I was. And I'm just feeling limitations. And I feel like it's telling myself it's okay to go the other direction. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to change. No one will think less of you. No one will stop giving you compliments and saying how wonderful you are. It's okay.
It's golf.
It's golf, and it is what it is. You'd rather play to your handicap than play to a handicap you can't play to anymore. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine. So that was one that I said.
Well, you're going to be feeling that a little bit more now with that soft cap.
No, it's almost like I just got it. I'm like, take it off, put it up there. It's all good. Because I'd rather have that pressure taken off me. Because I feel like I've been getting lower.
Well, and it's so important in golf to understand that that's what golf is. So when you're playing really well, you think that you're never going to get back into that dark spot again. I just had a professional golfer on the podcast yesterday. And even at any level, they experience those times where they think they'll never miss again and that they will just continue to improve. And then they get into that dark spot again. And when you're in that dark spot, you think you're never going to get out of it again. And that's just golf. And when you realize that is something that you just need to prepare for
and embrace it,
I feel like you don't get as depressed about, because again, we're all competitive. We all grew up playing sports and we all want to do our best and excel in this. I think that's why we all love golf. It's like, oh my God, I want to be a really good golfer. I want to try, I want to put effort in and see this blossom.
Reap the benefits, yeah.
Yeah. And I think some of the hardest parts about golf is that regression at times. And you think, am I ever going to get back to a 6?
And I'm actually good with that. And it took me a couple months to be okay with that because you then start to like hyper obsess over it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys had that experience? Because again, Christy, you're probably in it right now where
she's low.
Yeah. You switched to 18 holes. Your progression is probably skyrocketing now. And you're probably seeing some improvement quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm a little behind you because I feel like I'm still kind of going down and thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to play to that day in and day out? I want to play well, but honestly, I just have a different mindset about it. And I don't know why I feel differently. I mean, I've been in sports my whole life, played multiple sports at a high level, and golf, I'm okay with. I know I'm going to go out there, and some days I'm going to shoot in the 90s, and other days I'm going to shoot, low 80s, and it's a great thing. I
Christie
don't have the stress. I don't. It
Yeah,
doesn't,
you do. Christie has a really good.
I don't know why.
She has a really good mindset around just friendships in life. We've gotten to know each other a little bit more at Forest Highlands. And really, like I say, gosh, I want to be like Christie. She doesn't let anything bother her.
Well, I see it as she just doesn't tie her self-worth to golf at all. And I struggle with that. I mean, I struggle with it. Like if I've played bad, I don't feel good, and I'm talking about the really bad rounds. I'm not just saying like just a little out of normal thing, but yeah, it's tied to my self-worth for sure. I mean, that's what I work on, to help separate that as much as possible. And when Christie talks, there's no tie whatsoever.
Yeah. And you believe her when she says that.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Like,
I mean, some people will say it and you're like, you are full of fucking shit.
Yeah,
okay.
totally.
I played around with you yesterday and you were throwing your fucking club. Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I do swear a little on the course, but I mean, on the worst day, I'm still on the golf course.
Yeah.
So like, to me, it's such a blessing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I just can't.
She does have a good attitude.
She does.
Suzanne, how's your attitude with it all? Because again, you've been in the winner's circle quite a bit since you started. Because again, you were on that progression of improving quickly.
She just won eclectic.
Oh, did she? See, I wasn't
No,
around.
more importantly, I beat my husband.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then we played a little husband 9 and dine. And apparently Suzanne was so competitive with JK. We were all on the same team, mind you.
I've never beaten him before.
Oh.
He's like a 6.
No, and poor JK is probably still thinking about it, and Suzanne
he
is
is.
still reminding him of it.
Oh, heck yeah.
I
Murray
love it.
ran into him and he's still talking about it. He switched back to his old driver.
Oh my God. So Suzanne, how's your relationship been with the progression of it all and having that handicap index kind of relaying the information of how your golf game is going at the current moment?
I mean, I would love to be lower. I mean, Alex wants me to be lower. She wants
do.
me to be.
I think she's capable
like
of it.
4
Oh,
or
she
5
totally
lower.
is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, I get bummed when I have a really bad round. But I feel like my handicap's really true because I play pretty frequently.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I do play in events, I think it's a fair measure of my game. So
And what's your handicap right now?
like a 19.4.
Yeah.
And she can play to a 12.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. I've seen it.
It's
Yeah.
but I can also pop over 100 easily.
Exactly.
And those days, you just kind of have to pick yourself up and say, it's just one of those days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Al, what was your third thing?
Play with people that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
At
So
the
you would have
beginning.
told yourself that in the beginning.
Like, don't protect yourself. And it's funny that you had that conversation just now, because I obviously did not think about
It that
obviously
way.
I thought about it before,
Yeah.
but when you're learning something, you want to be around people that protect you. And really you learn so much about yourself when you play with people that make you uncomfortable, that you don't like. And you really start to learn. I remember all the rounds. Remember that I would call you, I'd
Yeah.
be crying because someone would call me out on something and it was embarrassing. But you learn the most and you have the most growth after those rounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like losing.
Yeah.
You learn more when you lose than you do when you win.
Oh, yeah. And I want to clarify with you, too. I don't think you mean always playing with people you don't like more, but also players
Put
that you
yourself
think
in
are
bad
so much better than you
Or that you personally don't like.
well, yes, that there's
There are people that you don't like and you're like, you know what? This is going to be good. I'm going to be in a foursome with people that I don't necessarily have much in common with. Okay. And you end up playing with them, get put in situations that you're just not
To feel uncomfortable a little.
Right. You're not comfortable with conversation. You're not comfortable with the cadence at which they play.
Yeah. No,
All
that's a
those,
very good point.
all those things, don't protect yourself from that.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I mean, don't do that every time you go out and golf.
No.
But no.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. And one of my things I was going to say is that I think it was nice for me in 9 holes to play with all the girls that I, what felt comfortable with. But I started getting way better when I went to 18 because there were so many girls that were better than me that I just naturally want to be better.
Yes.
And I play my best. I focus more. So I 100% agree with you that you need to play with people that
push you.
push you.
Yeah.
And I think anytime in any sport, you play with better people, not better people. I'm saying as an athlete. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just saying you get better when you do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's
what hit home for me right now is that I have a tournament next week. It's a 3-day stroke play event. So it's long and it's like stressful. And I haven't played in a 3-day stroke play tournament since August. So I'm a little dusty and I don't really feel particularly good right now. Like I'm not going into this thing thinking high expectations by any means. And every part of me wants to drop out. Like once I start, I'm in it. And there's no dropping out after that. But trust me, I'll go up till the last minute. And if I want to bow out, I can. But once I start, I have to finish what I started. But you just reminded me, it's like, you know what? So you're not going to play your best. You're still going to learn so much. You're going to play with 3 other people you've never played before. And they'll possibly be young. And they're from all over the country. And you're going to learn and you're going to put yourself in that position and you're going to be better for it. And it's hard. It's hard. But I know that is the decision I have to make.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Let's hear one of your things. Because Christie, that was one of yours, right? Just playing, making that transition into 18-holers. Yeah.
So one of mine was that I wish I hadn't been so nervous when I did jump in. So I kind of feel like I didn't play in certain things or didn't play with certain people because I was intimidated as a newbie. And now that I've kind of accepted and played more, I wish I had done that earlier just because it has enriched my life so much with the friends that I've made. You know, I travel with my husband and play with him. I play with my son. I've met so many great people. I've gotten involved with the WGA. I go on trips with girls to play golf. I mean, it has just made my life so much more interesting. So I kind of regret not having embraced it earlier.
Yeah. Is there a situation that you can remember in the past, like in particular, like this tournament you chose not to play in because you thought you weren't supposed to be there or that you shouldn't be there? Can you remember?
Like even President's Cup when I played against you, I was like, why am I getting paired with Tori on the second day? It was me and Tori and Margaret.
Margaret Flaherty, right?
Yeah.
It was Margaret Flaherty.
And I was like, why am I playing with like one of the very best players in our club?
that is true because she did say that to me.
I was freaking out.
Well, and I believe it. And you know what? I wish actually Margaret was on this podcast to tell the story of her experience that day too, because she had a pretty significant experience that day also. But I was so impressed with you and your performance. But did you end up winning?
I did, but I can't believe it. But
I bet you remember that round. And you're probably proud of it too.
I am.
Because you did have to hold a lead.
I did.
And I just remember clear as day how smart you played. Wow. Like you knew exactly what you were capable of and you played that course safe and you did what you needed to do.
And I also remember asking Tori after, because I didn't look at Golf Genius because I was too nervous. And like by the last hole I looked, and after we played, I asked Tori, I said, did you know what the spread was? She was like, well, of course I knew what the spread was the whole time. Yeah. It's like, I was too scared to look.
Oh yeah, no, I was watching the whole time. And you know, I was pretty much, Margaret had struggled on one particular hole, so she was quickly out of it. And it was just Suzanne and I going head to head for 18 holes.
What is a President's Cup tournament? Because it is actually interesting that Tori is at the time probably a 2 or 3 or
I think
a 1?
I was low. I was playing really well because it's an all net tournament and it's 2 days of stroke play. And obviously after the first day you get paired, on the second day you get paired based on score and how it is. And that's why we were paired together because it was based on net score.
That's right. And so notoriously, like when you're just learning, a lot of times you hear chatter. And I would hear a lot of the low handicappers say, oh, I'm not playing President's Cup. You can't win it.
Do not say no.
And you would hear that because it is, sometimes where people get a lot of strokes or a lot of pops, they can maybe capitalize on those holes a little bit easier than having to natural birdie every hole.
Yeah. And I would say, in defense of that, I'd say, okay, yeah, someone could have a wild round once, but can they do it 2 days in a row? Mm-hmm. Can they do it 2 rounds in a row?
That's what makes it a little more fair, I feel
Probably not. And also, in my experience, my best rounds, some of the days that I play my best, I'm winning gross, but I'm also winning net. Like it's not like I never win net. I win net all the time when I play well. That's what the handicap index system is all about.
But the other equalizer about that tournament is you had to hole out both days.
Yeah.
So someone like me at my handicap, I could be in the sand for a half hour.
Yeah.
It could be 10 strokes to get out, and then that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Good
And
point.
really that could happen to all
That
of
happens
us.
in the eclectic.
Oh, yeah. No.
I took an 11 on a par 3 once, but I did win.
Sometimes it's easy to better an 11 on a par 3.
Exactly.
Poor-
Christy, what was your second thing?
I did not take a lot of lessons. I don't know why I didn't. I wasn't playing consistently enough. And I would have that discussion with my husband. I'm like, I feel like I should take some lessons. He's like, well, I think you should take some lessons if you're going to practice. And at the time, I wasn't playing consistently enough that I could commit to that. So I would just go along my merry way and try to figure things out on my own. So looking back, if I could do it again, I would probably play and take more lessons and practice a little more. It wasn't really until I went up to Flagstaff that I felt like I had the time to really practice a little bit.
And Justin's up there.
I did.
So that
Oh my God.
fantastic.
Life-changing. Like that is a single-handed thing that I feel like I took his Op 36 and it changed my golf for good. And I've had so much confidence. And so I would tell a new golfer to buck up and take a few more lessons and practice because that is not, I'm never really a good person about practice. I feel like I've had so many practices in my life that, not in golf, but I'd rather go out and play. So I played a lot more and focused on those things that Justin taught me. And so that would be my...
Yeah. And there's a lot of importance with playing a lot too. So I don't want to take that away either. And again, when you've grown up practicing and grinding on different sports, sometimes you don't want to practice
over it.
anymore.
Yeah.
You don't want to do the grind as much anymore.
I mean, it makes a difference. I'll still... I do go practice a little bit, or spend a little bit more time chipping as opposed to, hitting.
Just all full swing.
Yeah. But if I could do it again, I would definitely take a few more lessons and practice.
Yeah.
But
Suzanne, what's your relationship like with practicing?
Well, when I take lessons, I definitely practice more because then the lesson's really not worth it.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
Again, someone at a little bit my higher handicap, I can't practice on the course because I'm so busy trying to make sure I hit the ball. So any kind of practice for me has to be at the range if I'm trying to do any kind of swing fix. So I try to go out on the days that I don't play golf, it maybe twice a week.
So you come from a family of practicers.
Yeah,
I feel like
well, my son Connor.
Yep, he's a big practicer.
grinder.
Yeah.
Just he could be there during COVID. Nigel was like, "You do know your son's been here 6 hours."
Wow. And what does your son say about that? Like he just can get in the zone and he really enjoys it.
He absolutely is a grinder. I mean, he just can put his head down and just do it over and over and over again.
I wish I had a little bit of that. I don't. I'm like,
Really?
No. I mean, there are days you can get in the zone and stay a little bit longer than usual, but man, after 45 minutes, I'm like, I feel like I got things to get done, things to do.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with practice right now?
I like repetition. I mean, I don't like to, I'd rather do more frequently. So like 4 days a week, shorter periods rather than one time practicing a week for a longer period of time. I like shorter. As you know, I'm a rapid fire type person.
The speed at which Alex can get through a bucket of balls. I mean, if that was a sport in itself, if there was a competition.
Have you guys ever know? I actually sometimes hold my breath. Sometimes I'm like, I think I've held my breath for 10 balls.
oh my gosh.
What about your husband? He likes to practice.
Oh, yes.
the merman.
Well, he is hit a ball. Look at it. Go back. Get another ball. So he's on a very different wavelength, but he is, yes. He's actually, since member at Forest Highlands, he then took time off. He doesn't play that much, but he took practice time off because he doesn't like overseed. He doesn't like trying to find places to go to practice. He is a 7-day-a-week practicer.
Yeah.
He now realized that he came back, played an event, and he actually did well. So now he's thinking he should only practice maybe like 3 or 4 days a week.
Oh, so he's like trying to analyze what type of
Yes.
practice schedule works.
He realizes
best for
that
his game.
maybe 7 days a week might be overkill.
I crack up because I live with a guy that says, why do you practice? I just go out and shoot in the low 80s. And you know my husband. I mean, I'm like, really, Dag?
I feel like Dag needs to come on this podcast.
I think he does too. Maybe
dear
we have to
Lord.
do a little couples event, and we'll try not to bring up to JK that
I think
Suzanne
it should be
beat
the
him.
3 boys.
Yeah.
You would have your hands full,
No,
Tori.
you wouldn't get a word in edgewise.
You know what? Sometimes that's okay. Suzanne, what was your second?
My second thing, which I did learn pretty quickly, was just don't be slow. Yeah. I can be at my handicap and I can hit it twice to your drive, Tori, but as long as I'm ready and I either walk quickly or get to my ball and be ready to hit, then people don't mind playing with someone who's not as good. And
Yeah.
I don't know if my husband and son would play with me if I was slow.
Yeah. Have you felt like kind of anxious, like trying to speed up at times, or have you just kind of taught yourself, this is the pace I need to go, and you've kind of learned how to play at that pace?
I think in the beginning I was anxious. Like when you play with like 3 people who are singles who drive the ball a mile and you have to hit it either once or twice to get there, just out of the box, I think you feel anxious. But once you realize that that's your game and that's their game, and as long as you're making sure that the pace of play is on point, that nobody minds playing with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you cut down on chitter chatter, like, you know how sometimes you
Yeah.
play with people that are really good golfers and you think they're fast and they're not fast. You're like, they're constantly talking.
Yeah.
Move it along. Talk
Well,
while
yeah.
you're walking.
Yeah. Talk while you walk, and then when when it's time your turn to hit, then the talking, stop the conversation for a moment.
Yep.
Christy, how have you dealt with the pace of play?
I feel like I've always been pretty vigilant about pace of play. My husband's always said, you don't want to be a slow golfer. And I remember when we first started playing a little bit together, I mean, there are times where I just pick up.
Yeah.
I didn't want to slow anybody down. But I mean, I think we are I played with Suzanne quite a bit when we were newer with the 18-holers, and we were vigilant. And of course, you always end up in a group where there's one person that's a little on the slower side. And so, we're looking at each other kind of side-eyeing like, we got to go.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And try not to be rude about it, but
Yeah. Leave them on the green themselves. That's always gets this message across.
Yeah.
Everybody ditches.
Well, if everyone is fast around that slower player, you will move them faster. I do believe that. Well, ladies, after, 5+ years of playing golf, what has golf brought to your life? And what would you tell the beginner golfer that's just starting this year? Like just bought their new set of clubs and they want to get out there and get started. What would you tell them?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what Suzanne said about friendships. So when your kids are gone and you have the next chapter of your life, it's very daunting because you no longer have that relationship with your children's parents. This golf has brought a totally different group of friends that you are compatible with and you have a blast with. And it's like, yay, chapter 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fun chapter.
Yeah. And Christy, you're really in that chapter too. I mean, you just entered that chapter also.
Oh, yeah. My kids are gone. And I mean, it has been a blast. And first of all, when just getting into the WGA, I met so many wonderful people, and age doesn't matter. I mean, that's the
really
one thing.
doesn't.
You can play with a 12-year-old or you can play with an 82-year-old. And the things I've learned and the fun that I've had, just meeting all these different people has been great. But I agree with both you guys. I mean, we've done a lot as couples and played a lot, and it's just special.
It is special.
I wish I had it when I was younger, but for whatever reason, and obviously I said my kids, that was my focus. But it's been a blessing, and like Suzanne said, you can travel, you can.
Yeah,
it's just golf is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Christy, what do you say to the tennis player that's playing tennis still? Was in your position that you were in 7 years ago-ish, when you were still playing tennis, slowing down a little bit in tennis, maybe things are starting to hurt a little bit more. What would you say to them to have open their eyes to golf a little bit more? Because I remember Al in the beginning would be like, golf is so long. How do you do that? Because again, you guys are coming from tennis. So what would you say to the tennis player that's kind of curious about golf?
I would say give it a try. I mean, I didn't start playing golf until really my knees were kind of giving out and I was realizing I'm going to hurt all the time if I keep playing tennis, but I loved it. It was so fun and social. I would say just throw your hat into the ring. Just give it a go and like really give it a go, not go out and play once and see if you kind of like it. I think I would say try to commit earlier. I wish I would have because I feel like I missed out.
The relationships you have with your tennis girlfriends, with your golf girlfriends, will be better than your tennis girlfriends.
Wow, that's a slippery slope statement right there.
And I was a tennis player. It gets cutthroat a little bit. Your relationships with your fellow golfers, I think, will be stronger and will be less
stressful.
Yeah.
Well, you have more time together and you really get an opportunity to get to know people a little more playing for 4 hours. And especially if you're walking. Right. I mean, that's huge. And I mean, I just think about some of the silly things that have happened out on the golf course specifically.
Yes.
You falling down like in a pancake laughing when somebody hits into you or I don't know. I think I agree with you, Alex. It's a different.
They're better. I don't know.
It's different.
That's coming from my experiences.
Well, I mean, just tennis as a whole is a little more aggressive as a sport, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so. And you value your self-worth based upon whether you beat your friend.
Yeah.
So that's my whole existence. It was like that could be my best friend, and then you play him, and then she calls a shot out, and you're like, you're a cheater.
Yeah. It's actually very true.
I have non-golfing girlfriends ask me, how do you spend all that time doing that? And it seems so boring.
Yeah.
And I said, it's like the trifecta. I'm spending time with girlfriends or, men that I like to play with. And I'm in a beautiful setting outside. I usually walk. It's like 6 miles. So I'm getting a workout in. I'm visiting with people. I'm in a beautiful setting. There's nothing that I have to complain about.
It is. Suzanne, what would you tell the player that's ready to get involved into a ladies' league, kind of questioning where they should belong or where they should go, 9 holes, 18 holes, and how to best get into the community as quickly as possible? What advice would you have for them?
I would say just throw yourself in and just try to meet as many people as you can and play in as many events. And whatever handicap you have is going to dictate where you fit. And not to be nervous, because I would say I was really afraid in the beginning.
Yeah, there really isn't. I understand everyone being nervous. I mean, I was nervous too, but all of us looking back, I think we can all agree there's no reason to be nervous. Whenever there's a new person, are you like passing judgment or no, you
never.
You don't care. You're actually excited that there's someone new. Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you for being on today. Thanks, Al, for coming back, as always.
I made the long trek from across the street.
Yeah. So actually remind everyone, because we're going into the season where people are coming to visit Scottsdale, Phoenix area. They're planning their Arizona trips. Remind everyone where they can find Allie.
Allie is in Old Town, right by the roundabout, the fountain with the famous horse. And then we have one up north at Frank Lloyd Wright and Thompson Peak. And when you come in, say that you follow Tori and Tori's podcast. The girls there are always like,
they get excited.
They do get excited.
Yeah.
And they get excited with all the different places that they come from. Colorado, Canada, Texas, Florida. Yeah, it's fun to hear the stories.
It is a cool spot.
Great clothes and fun little gifts. In fact, I need to go over and get a little something for I'm playing in a tournament on Friday, and it's a charity thing. And my friend Shelly asked me to play, and I'm like, what am I going to get her to bring her? To say
where are you playing? What course?
It's Dobson Ranch. It's benefiting. I can't think of the first part of it, but it's for the police department. It's like something angels, so it looks after former policemen. I have to say I apologize. I don't know exactly what it's for, but
okay.
We're going to hold that against you.
Yeah, it should be fun though. And
and Dobson Ranch is great too. So for all the listeners, if you're coming to visit, Dobson Ranch is a very fun course to play, and they have a great practice facility. That's where Babes Golf is out of. You'll see a lot of social media people there. It's a cool place to hang out. Nice. Suzanne, Christie, thanks for being on. Was it as hard, difficult, stressful as you might have thought?
No, not at all.
It's fun. It's just a conversation. It's a chat about the sport that we love and the community that we're a part of. So thank you for being on and sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.